Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the podcast. For a long time, I've wanted to create a space where we have honest conversations about culture, community, relationships, personal growth, and the experiences that shape who we are. Some topics may be uncomfortable, some may be controversial, and some may challenge the way we always thought about things. But my goal isn't to criticize or divide. My goal is to start meaningful conversations that help us grow. And I couldn't think of a better topic for the first episode than community. Community is something many of us value deeply. It gives us a sense of belonging, preserves traditions, and provides support during difficult times. As someone who grew up in a close knit cultural community, I've experienced both the beauty and the challenges that come with it. Today, I want to talk about one of those challenges: how gossip, judgment, and outdated expectations can sometimes create division rather than connection. Now, before I go any further, I want to make something very clear. This episode is not meant to attack any particular community, culture, religion, or generation. Every community has its strengths and its weaknesses, and this conversation comes from a place of care. I believe that when we have honest conversations on what isn't working, we create opportunities for positive change. So let's talk about it. People often say that being involved in a community is important because it creates lasting relationships and support system that can carry you through life's challenges. And honestly, I agree with that. Cultural and religious communities can provide a sense of belonging, preserve traditions, and offer support during difficult times. I believe traditions matter, family history matters, and so do religion values. These are often the things that hold communities together. But what happens when a certain tradition begins to hold a community back rather than help it grow? Let me explain. Think about most community gatherings. They start with good intentions. People come together, catch up, share life updates, and enjoy each other's company. But sometimes those conversations take a different turn. What begins as socializing can quickly become something else. Suddenly, the focus shifts to who's doing well, whose children are successful, who bought a new house, who got engaged, who got divorced, who gained weight, who lost weight, who moved away, or who isn't following the expected path. And then the whispers start. Did you hear she's traveling alone? I heard he parties a lot. What's going on with their marriage? They've been married for a year. Why don't they have kids yet? Did you see how much weight she's gained? We've all witnessed conversations like these. And while some people may view it as harmless conversations, there's a point when it stops being harmless. There's a difference between sharing news and dissecting someone else's life. The truth is, much of it isn't our business. And I often wonder, when did tearing each other down become a way of strengthening a community? Because from where I stand, it doesn't strengthen anything. It creates fear, judgment, and eventually it creates distance. Now let's take this one step further. Words have power. The way people talk about others shapes reputations, perceptions, and opportunities. Think about a job interview. Employers often call references because they want insight into who they are hiring. In many immigrants and cultural communities, something similar happens when it comes to relationships and marriage. Parents naturally want the best for their children. There's no doubt about that. They want to protect them from harm and help them make good decisions. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes a rumor, a misunderstanding, or even a minor piece of gossip can completely change how someone is viewed. A woman who moved away from school might be judged for being too independent. A man who isn't established in his career by his early 20s might be seen as irresponsible. A couple who chooses to wait before having children may face endless questions and assumptions. And suddenly, people's lives become filtered through community perceptions rather than reality. In many traditional settings, women are often expected to dress a certain way, behave a certain way, and embody qualities that make them desirable partners. Meanwhile, men are often valued based on their ability to earn money, provide, and achieve professional success. Then the scrutiny expands to family backgrounds, social circles, and reputations. At some point, it becomes an exhausting game of gathering information and managing appearances. And honestly, that environment doesn't bring people closer together. It encourages them to hide parts of themselves. It makes them afraid of being judged. It teaches them that their worth depends on how well they fit into someone else's expectations. Now, I want to emphasize something important. This isn't about blaming older generation. Most people are simply passing down what they learned. These attitudes didn't appear overnight. They were shaped by different times, different circumstances, and different cultural realities. I respect that. But respecting where traditions come from doesn't mean we can't evaluate whether they still serve us today. Because the reality is that everyone's journey looks different. Some people get married young, some don't. Some have children right away, some wait. Some move across the country to pursue a education or career opportunity. Some take longer to figure out what they want from life. And that's okay. Everyone is navigating their own challenges, lessons, and timelines. What if communities spent less time judging and more time supporting? What if instead of criticizing, we educated? What if we taught our sons to respect women, communicate well, and treat others with kindness? What if we taught our daughters that they can pursue ambitious careers, build families if they choose, and define success for themselves? What if we focus on helping each other grow rather than competing with one another? Because in the end of the day, a healthy community isn't built on reputation management. It's built on compassion, understanding, and on showing up for people during their hardest moments. Traditions should absolutely be preserved when they bring people together to strengthen families. But traditions that create shame, fear, or division deserve to be questioned. Times changed, people changed, and communities have grown alongside them. So maybe the goal isn't to abandon tradition. Maybe the goal is to keep the tradition that unite us while letting go of the habits that divide us. Because being traditional religious doesn't automatically make someone a good person. Kindness does, empathy does, character does. If we want stronger communities for the next generation, we need more collaboration and less competition, more support and less judgment, more understanding and less gossip. And with that, I want to say thank you for joining me for the very first episode. And this conversation resonated with you, I'd love for you to follow along as we continue discussing culture, relationships, personal growth, and the experiences that shape us. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you in the next episode.